Hi, everybody. So today you need the white assignment sheet that you got yesterday, the organizer, and you need either your green descriptive outline if you're going to be writing about the Turkle article and probably your student reader, or you need your yellow documentary chart if you're going to be writing about the social dilemma. If you are using the social dilemma, I suggest that you also have Netflix open and your headphones so that you can go back into the film and look up your actual evidence. Remember, you need to find actual quotes from the movie and timestamps to support what you're talking about, to cite what you're talking about. So you will need to have that available to you. So today you are going to continue gathering evidence. You started with that yesterday, but we didn't have as much time left at the end of the hour. Um, you're going to gather all of the pieces that you need for your essay. You're not going to start writing quite yet, but you're going to go through and organize your ideas and figure out the focus for your essay, so that you will tomorrow be ready to start writing the thesis statement. And I'll show you how to organize the introduction. And then we'll move on step by step from there. So hopefully, if you do each of these steps in class with me, you should not end up with homework. And this essay should hopefully get done pretty much inside class time. Okay, so reminder, you are either writing about Sherry Turkle's argument, which we read last week, or you're writing about the social dilemma. If you're writing about the Turkle article, remember her claim is that experiencing empathy is a uniquely human experience, and contemporary society is losing sight of that reality as it becomes increasingly captivated by what the virtual can achieve. So this is her claim, and if you are uh, arguing, or if you are, analyzing her article, this is the claim that you are telling me how she goes about proving. Reminder, I don't care as much whether or not you agree with her claim. This is not an opinion paper at any point. This is just a rhetorical analysis. So you are analyzing the choices that she makes. You're not including your own opinion about those choices. You're just analyzing the effectiveness of them. Now, if you don't agree with her, you may not find her choices very effective, and that's fine. You can certainly write about her choices do not work in persuading her readers, but that is not the focus of this paper. In case it has slipped your mind, the word empathy means the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. We spent some time talking about whether or not robots or artificial intelligence can experience empathy in the same way. Her argument is no, it's uniquely human, not something that artificial intelligence can replicate. In a sense, your essay is answering this question: how does Turkle use addressing the counter argument, reasoning, and persuasive elements to persuade her readers or prove this argument? So, how does she use these pieces of evidence or statistics or anecdotes or reasons and examples to persuade her reader to agree with what she says? If you are writing about the film, Orlowski, the director, his claim is that social media companies are manipulating users to encourage addiction and selling the attention to the highest bidder. So if you are writing about the social dilemma, that is the claim that you are explaining how Orlowski is proving through his film. Again, it doesn't matter whether you agree with his claim or not. It's often easier to write about a claim that you agree with, but it's certainly not necessary. In a sense, your essay is answering this question: how does Orlowski use evidence, reasoning, and cinematic elements to persuade his viewers of or prove this argument? Specifically, if you are writing about the movie, I would definitely take the time to cover some of the cinematic elements in what you talk about as part of his rhetorical moves. Um, Obviously, since this is a documentary, that is a choice that they made. And so some of the rhetorical choices like the lighting changes or the dramatic music or the quick cuts between different interviewees, excuse me, are part of those rhetorical choices, bombarding you with different images, interspersing that dramatized story about that family and their own experiences with social media and social media addictions. Are part of that. And so you should definitely talk about how the film itself is put together as one of the rhetorical moves that you cover. Uh, we use the word manipulating in this claim. Social media companies are manipulating users. Manipulating has a really negative connotation to it. So it is pretty clear from this claim that Orlovsky is saying that this is a bad thing, that this is something that needs to change. And he is definitely strongly trying to convince you, the viewer, that this is something that needs to change. This is something that needs to change for the current generation of children. This is something that needs to change for you, the viewer. You yourself need to be thinking about your own social media habits, your own phone usage, the things that you're looking at, how you interact with this piece of technology, which is always right next to you, and think about how you personally can change your behavior. Okay, so this is what we started doing at the end of the hour yesterday, and we certainly didn't take enough time to um, gather all of the evidence that you need, but this is an important step that you should take right now. So I know a number of you just wanted to start writing your essay, but you really will benefit from taking the time to gather the evidence that you're going to write about before you just try diving in to write. You will be much more organized, and you will know much more of what you're trying to write about if you have all of these pieces gathered before you start. So generate a list of specific elements of Turkle's argument or Orlovsky's argument that you wish to consider in your analysis. Give examples of counterargument, reasoning, and stylistic or persuasive elements that interest you. Cast a wide net. So think about, if you're writing about Turkle, think about the entirety of the article from beginning to end. Don't center all of your examples from the same section. Look at the whole thing and make your list. Don't worry about unbalanced lists. This is just a brainstorming phase. So you should right now, on a piece of paper, if you prefer to handwrite, or you can make a 3-column chart like this on a Google Doc if you want to do this, and find examples where you see Sherry Turkle address the counter argument. Go through, find specific examples, label it with the paragraph number where you see her do that. Find specific quotes where she talks about that. Find specific examples where she's using reasoning, logic, evidence to persuade her readers. Label it with specific quotes or parts of quotes and the paragraph number. And then find specific examples of stylistic or persuasive elements, other stylistic or persuasive elements. Is it her word choice? Is it some other technique that she's using that you want to talk about? Label it with the specific paragraph numbers that you find it. This chart, when you look at it, it's not something you read from left to right. It's really column A, you read all the way down. Column B, you read all the way down. So you're not looking for things to make sense as you go across the page. So I want you to take a few minutes right now to gather what you think are the most persuasive moves either Turkle makes or Orlovsky makes in the social dilemma. Think about the examples that stick out to you the most. Think about the examples that you find the most persuasive. Try to find 3 or 4 or 5 right now. And jot them down with their paragraph numbers, and then we'll work on helping to focus your choices. Maybe find 6 or 7 or 8, and then we'll work on helping to focus your choices. So go ahead and pause me for a couple minutes and find the evidence that you want to use in your essay, and then we'll come back and talk about narrowing that down. Okay, great. Welcome back. I hope you found some good things. I have here just a couple examples from the Turkle article of how I might fill out this chart if I were gathering this evidence. So, under addressing the counter argument, I came up with the example of Turkle mentions cures for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's as evidence of the blessings technology may be able to provide. She then contrasts those uses with the use of technology to provide artificial imagery. So, artificial intimacy. So I have the blessings of um, these cures that would be really important and life changing for people with. And then I have it contrasted with this idea of artificial intimacy. So this is, I just already put the in-text citation in with it so that when I go to write my paper, that's already there. You could certainly just put the paragraph number at this point so that you can go back and find this later. An example of reasoning for the Turkle essay, I could use Turkle debunks the girl's fascination with the virtual companion and distinguishes between a robot as an empathy machine that can merely perform empathy and a human who can truly experience empathy. She then asserts a slippery slope argument by warning her argument that children will risk losing the ability to experience empathy if they continue to emotionally rely on virtual companions. So that's an example of evidence. And then stylistic persuasive element. One example I have for you is Turkle uses the miracle of your child's breath as a sentimental examine of a truly human phenomenon. So that's not something that a robot companion could feel or experience or share with you. That's something that really only is uniquely human, only another human could share. So I hope you found some good examples of pieces of evidence that you are interested in writing about. The things that stick out to you because you found them the most interesting or the most persuasive are what you should write about. Because if it stuck out to you as persuasive, then you will have more to say about it. It will be more interesting to you. So, part 3, this is the next piece on your white sheet that you got in class yesterday. Once you have your collection of counter arguments, reasoning, and stylistic or persuasive elements, think about which examples might relate more closely to one another or might relate to one of the specific assertions of Turkle's argument or Orlovsky's argument. And then consider this set of questions to help narrow the focus of the essay. I want you to take a moment to answer these questions, write down your responses on the sheet. Pause me while you do this, and then we'll come back. Go ahead and answer questions A, B, and C on your sheet right now. Okay, so you should have good answers for questions A, B, and C. Now I want you to think about what is going to be your individual focus. So if I decide, hey, my answer for question A is actually far superior to my answers for question B or C, or my answer for question C is the best, then that is really where you should focus. So here's what this would look like for me. And this is on that white sheet. You have access to this information. So if you look back at your A, B, and C, think about which one you feel like is the strongest. So my answer to question A, what does the writer want the audience to believe? How do you know? My answer to question A is Turkle is trying to get her audience to realize how special it is to be human and how much humanity stands to lose if we confuse real intimacy with artificial intimacy. And I felt like that is the best answer to those questions. And so that is the one that I am going to focus on. Then I go back into Turkle's argument, the descriptive outline, and my chart, and I find examples of how Turkle focuses on how special it is to be human. So I'm specifically looking for things that relate to that idea. So I'm not going to pick every single piece of evidence that I think is useful. I'm not going to pick every single example anecdote that she gives. I'm going to pick the ones that specifically relate to my focus. So how special it is to be human. And then as I go back and look at those, I will highlight them or I'll star them. I will put some sort of mark by them so that I can come back and find them again. So when I have looked, and I will give you time to do that in a second, I just want to finish this. So after looking at the descriptive outline, the information, I move to a reason she gives to support her argument. Okay, I will look at paragraph 3 through 5, where Turkle first points out that machines feel nothing of the human loss or love we describe to them. She's building her case for why they can't experience empathy. And then she extends that logic in slippery slope fashion to forward that children will lose the ability to have empathy if they only practice empathy with machines. I found a stylistic device that supports this same focus on her argument. I'll look at Turkle's use of the phrase, the miracle of your child's breath. So again, something that is uniquely, specifically human. Turkle's use of the word miracle is interesting. Robots can't be programmed to perform miracles. We need to appreciate and protect that aspect of humanity. And then the other stylistic device, finally, I will examine, Turkle's last paragraph, a brief one-liner that echoes that same mood that the word miracle evokes by using the word glory to describe what it means to be human. So specifically the word glory in the previous one, specifically the word miracle, as unique human traits, both have to do with word choice. And then that paragraph 3 through 5, where we have that slippery slope argument. So what you need to do is decide which of your 3 focus questions is the best. Which would you be most able to talk about? And then find the pieces of evidence that relate specifically to that focus answer, what you put down. So finish today by completing the statement of your individual focus and key pieces of evidence on the assignment sheet. You will keep this assignment sheet because we will use it again tomorrow. And then I will probably come around and look at it as we're working on the thesis statement tomorrow. So again, by the end of the day, make sure you have all of your evidence gathered, ready to go. You have your individual focus decided on and the specific evidence that relates to that focus narrowed down, marked so that you can come back and find that again. So once you have completed both sides of that white sheet that you got yesterday, you are good to go for the day. Feel free to use the rest of the time to work on independent reading or anything else you're missing. Happy Wednesday.